You bring back Vince McMahon, and even the little bit of touches can ruin a show. Right off the bat, I'm going to say that this is not a bad show, but it definitely has a lot of Vince McMahon touches. Ever since Triple H took over as creative, I would argue that this is the worst one that he did as far as SummerSlams go, but it wasn't really his fault. It was Vince because Vince McMahon came back. They were gonna sell the company to TKO, which we all know where that ended up. But um, yeah, there was a lot of stuff that I didn't like about this show, and you can tell these were all strictly Vince McMahon and TKO touches. This wasn't Triple H's vision, but the other stuff that did pull through, they were clearly Triple H ideas. So let's just talk about it. Logan Paul versus Ricochet in Ricochet's best match on the main roster at least. This was a pretty good match. I actually thought it was gonna go a lot shorter, given what was going to happen regarding Logan Paul. For those of you who do not know, this was the night Jake Paul was gonna box, and then Logan Paul was gonna be in his corner. So Logan requested to go first, only so he can run to the airport. It was like a whole backstory with it, but the story here with Logan Paul and Ricochet was pretty much it was built from the Rumble with that epic spot. It was built at Money in the Bank from them costing each other and then brawling. So it was a matter of time before Logan Paul and Ricochet had a match. They had similar styles, so it was really good. I like that Logan Paul actually got personal with Samantha Irvin. God, I miss Samantha Irvin. She was not only was she really good as a ring announcer, she was hands down the best. Damn, that girl was fine. No disrespect to Ricochet. But anyways, I do love that when Logan wins, he goes to Samantha Urban like, who was the winner again? Tell me again. Like that was classic heel heat from Logan Paul. Clearly, he was just meant to be a heel, and this match was just really, really good, and I can't really hate on it. So yeah, great way to kick off SummerSlam. Then we had Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar. This was around the time they still build you up as like, oh, this is uh four main events. There are four main events at SummerSlam. No, it wasn't. But anyways, I did love Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar. This was a great match, and I did like the story. Like Brock Lesnar, we don't give a lot of credit for his storytelling because here he wasn't necessarily trying to beat Cody Rhodes. Um, like traditionally, he didn't try to pin him or make him tap out. He just beat him up until he was beaten down, almost trying to win via count out. But Cody Rhodes just kept getting up. There was a weird spot where like Cody Rhodes grabs the what's it called the steel steps, and then he hits Brock Lesnar. I'm like, okay, that's a DQ. I guess not. Which made me question why wasn't it a DQ match? No DQ exactly. But anyways, we did get the match. It was good back and forth. Brock is clearly a better worker with smaller dudes. He does good with heavyweights, but he always limits the amount of time he faces a heavyweight. Look at Goldberg. Look at Oba. Look at Bobby. So they actually put in effort and time when it comes to like little guys versus Brock Lesnar, and this was a really good back and forth. This was my match of the night because I love the story that it told. Like we were wondering why is Brock Lesnar beating up Cody Rhodes. They never explained to us why Brock Lesnar was beating up Cody Rhodes until we got to the end, which is when Cody Rhodes officially beats Brock Lesnar, putting him down once and for good. It ends with by the way, what is it with Brock always ripping his pants? That's just I just noticed this keeps happening. But anyways, the match ends with Brock Lesnar and Cody Rhodes shaking hands, holding his raising his hand up high. Pretty much all this feud was Brock Lesnar prepping Cody Rhodes for his eventual rematch against Roman Reigns. So this was a great way to continue the story of Roman Reigns without really saying anything, and that was really cool. And I really like that type of storytelling where we don't know what's going on, why it's happening, and then the payoff is really, really good. So that was a good job. I don't think that's ever been done before. The only thing that comes close to mind was Penta and Vampira at Lucha Underground with the Master storyline who is the master. I don't know, face Vampiro, and then turns out Vampiro was the master all along. Like, that was pretty cool. So I really enjoyed that match, and it was a great way. Two amazing classic matches to kick off this SummerSlam. So this was really good. Um, Naturally, they needed a match to kind of like cool down the crowd, calm them down. So basically, they just did a SummerSlam Slim Jim Battle Royal. 25 men, all of them just trying to win a Battle Royal to participate. And there was a lot of mini feuds in between, like Karrion Kross and AJ Styles, Austin Theory and the LWO, Alpha Academy and Imperium. There was a lot of mini feuds in between all of this. But the big thing was, can LA Knight finally get a moment at some point? And sure enough, yeah, LA Knight, yeah, he got his moment. He won the Battle Royal by eliminating Sheamus, and now he is the face of Slim Jim. Every time you see the commercials, there you see other guys, but mostly it's LA Knight. And I was happy with this. It was a fun Battle Royal. More fun than most of the Andre Battle Royals we've been getting in the last couple of years. So this one was pretty fun and entertaining, and they finally were pushing LA Knight. So yeah, this was hands down the worst match, and clearly it was a Vince McMahon or a TKO idea. This was so bad. Shayna Baszler versus Ronda Rousey in a MMA rules match. This was trying to be an MMA fight. No one gave a shit. They didn't even boo. They just were like, "What? Get out of my face!" And Shayna Baszler never did anything with her career after beating Ronda Rousey. This was clearly a match nobody wanted, and I hated this. I do not like this at all. It was a dud. This is truly what holds this show back from being one of the best SummerSlams ever. It really does. And yeah, it's a dud of a match. Like, where was Becky and Trish? This is where they could have done Becky and Trish. And that could have been the payoff. But no, they wanted this crap. Gunther and Drew McIntyre for the Intercontinental Championship. This was a good match. I don't know what is it with Drew McIntyre and Gunther. They do click. They do have good in-ring chemistry. But I think what happened was Drew McIntyre was already a world champion. Not to say that Sheamus wasn't and other guys that he's fought. The thing is, like, Drew McIntyre, we wanted him to do bigger and better things outside of this. We did eventually want Gunther and Drew McIntyre, which we got, but I don't know, something about this match, like, it wasn't the classic we expected. Like, we all thought this was going to be the show stealer of the night. Um, Again, good performance, good match, but not the one we expected. Also, I think what hurt the match is that we were this close to beating the Honky Tonk Man record, and it was very obvious that we were going to go that route. And Chad Gable was rising up, so naturally we want to see Chad Gable be the one to dethrone Gunther. So there was a lot going on. So Drew McIntyre kind of took a step back, but eventually it worked out for him given the year that he had between now and the rest of 2024. So in a way, I can't really get mad at this, but yeah, good match, but not the classic we expected. This one took me by surprise. Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor. I always knew they had good chemistry, but I didn't know they were going to have this great of a match. Uh, Seth Rollins as the World Heavyweight Champion in 2023, greatest run in Seth Rollins' career. And the crazy part is that every single person that he fought, you truly believe that, oh, maybe this is how Seth Rollins loses the belt. Because Triple H did a good job building credible opponents. He built up Finn Balor, Shinsuke Nakamura, Drew McIntyre. Like, he did a great job of making you believe someone here is close to beating Seth Rollins. And there was a point where I truly believed Finn Balor was going to be the world champion. Maybe this was going to be his redemption, even though 7 years ago up to this point, Finn Balor won the Universal Championship, but his career took a toll after Seth injured him. I love that Seth Rollins wears the outfit from the last time they competed, the shirt, and he gives it to Finn as a prize. That was funny. The back and forth was great. I do love the callback to the power bomb where Seth initially broke Finn's arm. Finn does it to Seth this time. Then the Judgment Day interferes, of course, because why not? Damian Priest is Mr. Money in the Bank. We thought this was going to lead to the breakup. little did we know, it took a whole another year for the Judgment Day to properly break up, even though Judgment Day is still around. Um, I was very satisfied with this match. I was really happy with it, and Seth Rollins won, and it continued on the run, and then it led to one of my favorite feuds around this point. Him and Nakamura was a masterpiece of a story. Unfortunately, Nakamura never won the world title, but hey, we got two great matches out of it. Asuka versus Charlotte Flair versus Bianca Belair. Good match. At this point, I was watching it. I was getting tired because the show was way too long, way too much was going on. Hell, you could have cut out Baszler and Rousey, and then just kept this going. And I don't know, this would have been a lot better. I'm sorry. Like, yeah, I just do not like that match. But Bianca Belair wins. First of all, she's dressed like for like the C4. You know, there was a weird thing. So like Charlotte comes out, then Asuka the champion comes out, so then Bianca Belair comes out next, promoting that C4 energy drink or something. She's even dressed to the part. There's a part where Bianca gets injured. It's just Charlotte and Asuka. Then Bianca comes back, gets the victory, which was like, really, that's the route we're going with. But then we didn't expect this. Io Sky cashes in on Bianca Belair, winning the WWE Women's Championship. Io Sky became the Women's Champion. Had a solid run, uh, but man, this was a great time for women on SmackDown. Like, Rhea Ripley was clearly like the woman of like just beat up everybody, not really worrying about classic. If you wanted classic women's wrestling, you go to SmackDown. So I like that Raw and SmackDown's women's division felt different, and it was all thanks to Io and Rhea and their performances and how they were different characters. So this was a great time, and it's very funny that one year Io Sky and Dakota Kai and get introduced by Bailey and form Damage Control, only for 1 year later for Io Sky to now be cashing in and becoming the women's WWE champion. Pretty awesome, if you ask me. But then we get the main event, Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso in tribal combat. Not only does the winner get the WWE Universal Championship, but they also get the Ula Fala from Roman Reigns, and basically becomes the leader of the tribe, basically. And it was fitting that this would be where you go to next. Like, up to this point, the story was Jey Uso was the first man to pin Roman Reigns since TLC 2019. Um, it was almost 4 years. So it was a very poetic way to bring this all back. And this was unfortunately a really long match. 36 minutes. Are they kidding me? And it was just dragging on for a while. Maybe Jey Uso wasn't ready to be the top guy, but there was still an aura to him. He was getting the people hype. He was entertaining as hell. Um, and then the whole purpose of like no interference, only for Solo Sikoa to come out anyways, was stupid. But then the big twist at the end, which I do not like to this day, it's Jimmy Uso turning his back on Jay. Now, personally, I think it makes sense for Jimmy Uso to betray Jey Uso. I just didn't like the follow up. So basically, the reasoning for Jimmy to betray Jay is because he was afraid of what Jay was going to become. And no, I didn't like that. What should have been the story is, oh, what? Jay wins the world title and then I just get left behind? Hell no. And then Jimmy joining the bloodline again right off the bat was kind of dumb. Like, I wish there was more build to Jimmy Uso rejoining Roman Reigns, maybe rebuilding that trust. But none of that happened. It just, oh, okay, Jimmy's back in the bloodline. And there was no real payoff to it. And I didn't like that. Also, to top it off, once Roman beat Jay, it was very clear that Cody Rhodes was going to be the one to take the world title off of Roman. It was just a matter of when and where, which was obviously going to be WrestleMania. So at this point, Roman Reigns at the top was very inevitable up until he fought Cody Rhodes. So anything else that Roman did didn't really matter. It was just filler up until WrestleMania, basically. This show had two matches that one disappointed, one was god awful, and then the rest was pretty good. So it's really hard to rate. I don't want to give it an A just because there was still a lot of touches that I didn't like, particularly like I said, the ending and the MMA rules match. So I'll give it a B plus. But there was definitely a lot of great matches in this show, so I can't really fault it for that. And yeah, this was overall I did have myself a good time, but it was definitely a way much unnecessarily longer show. Anyways, on to 2024, where Triple H gets full control of SummerSlam with no one bugging him. So let's see how that turns out.